Hi everyone, welcome to week 3. In week 2, we talked about creating environments both indoors and outdoors with appropriate activities. Our discussion was wonderful. I loved some of the ideas that came up about how we can be so intentional with outdoor play as well as indoor play, and that when we're intentional designing these learning opportunities and environments for young children, it can really help us with being proactive with how a classroom is managed. So that came out really nicely in our discussion. Just a reminder for our discussions, I'm still encouraging you to try and do a video post. It would be fun for us to get to know each other's face, get to see each other. If you are comfortable with doing that, I would encourage that. And I guess that's all I have about the discussion. With regard to our week 2 assignment, I have not graded all of them yet, but the ones that I have graded about transition activities were wonderful. And again, there was that thread of intentionality in all of them about using transitions as teachable moments, about making sure that there is some kind of predictable structure to them. And again, when we are intentional, we're also being proactive when we're dealing with young children in our classrooms. And I think I mentioned this to a couple of you in my comments, that there have been some studies that have been done that actually show how much time is spent in transition every day in an early childhood classroom. And it's a much larger amount than probably most of us would predict. So it really is buying us some instructional time when we're able to do activities that are related to the learning objectives for our students, or when we're able to work on things like self-regulation during transition activities. You had great ideas. I loved that I saw consistency about things like daily visual schedules being posted, about giving children a warning and having some kind of a signal, whether it be the lights flashing or a chime or a song that gets sung, letting them know that there's going to be a transition coming, and then being predictable about what's expected of them during the transition. So I saw a lot of proactive strategies. This week, in week 3, we're going to learn about relationships. So my very first boss at the Department of Education called me into her office my first day of work, and she said, I'm going to tell you the 3 most important things about your new position. And she said, it's relationships, relationships, relationships. And I would say it's the same thing with education and with regard to building positive learning environments for children. It really is all about relationships. So this week you are going to read in our text chapter 8 about building positive relationships through communication. And there are some supplemental materials. There is a TED Talk. There is a video from the Harvard Center for the Developing Child. There is a really interesting little video from Eastern Connecticut State University about creating classroom rules with children, which I advocate for a whole lot. And even with really young children, they can work together as a class to help you create those rules that you can have posted in your classroom and that everybody shares in the creation of the rules. So this week, we're going to talk about classroom rules in our discussion. So what I had just mentioned about having rules and having children develop those rules with you can be a really good strategy. So you're going to talk about how communication can look if it's positive communication. So what's the difference between a negative interaction and positive communication, and what are the different kinds of outcomes you get depending on how you communicate, and how can you use those strategies in an early childhood classroom? So again, feel free to post in writing, and if you want to take a risk, feel free to post a video post or 2. And then our assignment for this week is you're going to be taking a list of rules in a classroom that are all stated as negatives, and you're going to sort of, I guess, role play that the kids came up with these rules. Don't hit other people, don't bite, never throw toys. And then I want you to do a narrative and explain how you can flip these into positive statements and how you can flip them into 3 to 5 positive classroom rules that the students helped you develop. So again, I would watch the video from Eastern Connecticut about creating classroom rules. That will be very helpful. And do any other research that you would like to about creating classroom rules. As always, I am available pretty immediately via email. I usually get back to you within an hour, and I'd be happy to set up a time to talk with any of you. I have gotten emails from a few of you, and I really do appreciate the feedback that you give me. So that's it for the overview for week 3, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion this week. Have a great week.